Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer, thanks to Error 1 for this one. Let's say you control Teferi, Mage of Zulfur, which is your only creature. Your opponent plays Sudden Edict to make you sacrifice. Can you flash in a Dryad Arbor in response and sacrifice that? Okay, so this is a really interesting question with a lot of stuff going on. To get a feel for what I mean, let's start by taking a look at Split Second's entry in the CR. You can notice that you only are prohibited from casting spells and activating abilities. You are not prohibited from taking special actions, which playing a land is, which means that Split Second will do absolutely nothing to stop you from playing a land, assuming of course that you're allowed to. So, that part of the question will work just fine. However, there's one other thing that we need to consider. When I gave this question, I intentionally didn't use the player names in order to disguise which player's turn it was. However, we can deduce who it was based on Teferi's other ability. Because of that, we know that the person who's playing the Split Second card has to be the person whose turn it is, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to cast Sudden Edict. That means that it's bad news for the Teferi player, because you are not allowed to play a land for any reason on another player's turn. Since it's Sudden Edict player's turn, the Teferi player will not be able to play a land for any reason, which means that they will not be able to play Dryad Arbor even though they might otherwise be able to. That's a real shame, because that's the only thing that's stopping this trick from working perfectly exactly the way you would hope it would. So let's take a look at a new, different situation. We'll say that it's Amy's turn, and for some reason she played and resolved a Scout's Warning sometime earlier in this turn. Her opponent Nick is going to play that Edict and make her try to sacrifice a creature. Can Amy flash in the Dryad Arbor in response to the Edict and sacrifice the Dryad Arbor? In this case, the answer is yes, she can. And it's for the reason that we talked about earlier. Because it's Amy's turn, there's absolutely nothing stopping her from playing the land. That is, of course, assuming that she does have a land play available. Remember, you can play the land, assuming that there's nothing else in the game, for example, being someone else's turn or not having any land plays available, that's going to stop you. So, really awesome trick. Made a little bit less awesome by the fact that it's so specific. For example, if you wanted to use Savage Summoning instead of Scout's Warning in order to do this trick, you might think that it should work still. However, if you look carefully, you can see that there's one very important difference that Savage Summoning has. It uses the word cast instead of play. That's a big problem because when you use the word play, that can refer to either casting a spell or playing a land. However, when you use the word cast, that only can respond to casting a spell. The whole reason this trick works in the first place is because we're playing a land, not casting a spell. So that means that Split Second cannot stop us from doing so. That means that any spell that once you do cast the spell is not going to be able to help us get the Dryad Arbor into play in response to a Split Second card. That's really troublesome because a lot of cards that do this type of thing do use the word cast and not the word play. Be sure to always check the Oracle text reference in order to get the most up-to-date wording, because a lot of cards, such as for example Alloran or Vernal Equinox, use the word play on the actual printed card. However, if you look in the Oracle, sure enough, these cards will use the word cast. So remember to always look it up and be especially sure before you try to make any clever tricks. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again tomorrow for another daily ruling, but until then, I hope you have a great day.